What is going on, true crime fans? I'm your host, Heath.
And I'm your host, Daphne.
And you're listening to Going West.
Hello, everybody. Today, we have a case that does not involve murder, but it does involve a lot of stalking crimes. There's a lot of, wild crime in the story. And then also a freaking unbelievable twist.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of tomfoolery. A lot of shenanigans, a lot of dumb fuckery going on here.
I'm sure a lot of you guys know this story already. I mean, I didn't know it until I saw the Netflix documentary that came out last year on it. It's called Unknown Number, the high school catfish.
Yeah.
That documentary was so well done, but today we are going to include a lot of details that were not in the documentary, probably for sake of time on their part, because they really did do such an amazing job. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know the twist of this one yet, buckle up.
If you have not heard this story yet, it is going to blow your mind.
It's truly wild. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. We got a big story today.
All right, guys, this is episode 636 of Going West, so let's get into it.
In 2021, in the tiny, tight-knit town of Beal City, Michigan, a high school girl, as well as many of her peers, began receiving cruel and even threatening messages from an anonymous source. Relationships unraveled, friendships were tested, rumors spread uncontrollably, and the families of the victims feared that a dangerous cyberstalker was targeting their community's youth. As the investigation intensified, detectives traced hundreds of fake phone numbers in an online web of deception far more personal than anyone imagined, which all led back to one single person. This is the story of Lauryn Licari and her high school cyberstalker. The setting of this case is familiar. It's not unlike any that we've talked about before. You know, it's a tiny town where everybody knows each other and, more importantly, knows everybody's business. Beal City, located in the central lower peninsula of Michigan, situated about 2.5 hours northwest of Detroit, has a population of fewer than 300 people. If you guys are
real small.
Yeah, if you're looking on YouTube, you can see we have this aerial view of Beal City, and you're like, oh yeah, that's like a very small town surrounded by fields. So you can also see that on our socials though, but very, very small, tight-knit community. Just remember that. So their one public school actually is preschool through 12th grade, all in one school, and serves the entire community, plus children from the neighboring town. So it facilitates about 700 kids, so about 50 kids per grade. Kendra Newbill, born and raised in Michigan, met Beal City native Sean Licari during their studies at Central Michigan University and followed him to his hometown, moving into the house where they would eventually raise their only child, a daughter named Lauryn, who was born in 2007.
Yep, she is the subject of today's story. Today's story really centers all around Lauryn.
Yeah, it's Lauryn and then her boyfriend, as we're going to talk about. And there's so many other people that are involved, but Lauryn truly is at the center.
Yes.
So Sean, her father, worked at the local auto body shop as a mechanic, but Kendra, his wife, was known for keeping the family running. You know, she was the breadwinner. She very much maintained the family's busy social and extracurricular schedule, and she handled all their finances. One of Sean's coworkers even joked that Sean couldn't even dress himself without her. So she was like head honcho.
Yeah, taking care of everything in the family.
Yeah, woman with the pants. So for years, Kendra worked as the supervisor at a bank and then in human resources at her alma mater, Central Michigan University, before transitioning to working at Ferris State University. Now, according to locals and friends, Kendra yearned for belonging even in her adult years. So she did everything in her power to ensure that her daughter felt heard and seen, despite Lauryn being quite shy and closer in sensibility to her dad. So, you know, her mom very much she was super involved in anything that was going on with Lauryn. Now, Kendra, on the other hand, unlike Lauryn and Sean, she was very bubbly and gregarious and was well known as the cool mom. So a lot of people liked Kendra. She also frequently volunteered for the school and was active at all of her daughter's sporting events, always cheering Lauryn on. Because like Lauryn, Kendra had actually been a basketball star growing up, and she really enjoyed kind of reliving her teenage years through her daughter. So they had a lot in common outside of personality traits.
Yeah, a lot of parents tend to do this. It's like
Yeah.
my dad used to play football and now I play football and he's like
the coach.
He's the coach, or
Right.
he comes to all my games or whatever.
Right. So that is exactly what Kendra did actually when Lauryn was in elementary and middle school. Kendra coached Lauryn's basketball team. So they made a lot of friends with the popular Beal City families and vacationed together on the Gulfs during breaks. And, again, very small community, and this family, the Licaris, were very involved with a lot of different families, a lot of different,
Sure.
groups.
Yeah, they're just trying to kind of fit into the community however they can. Well, let's talk a little bit about Lauryn. Lauryn and fellow Beal City Middle School student Owen McKenney were middle school sweethearts, and they bonded over their shared love of athletics. So Lauryn was incredibly talented at softball. She was a basketball player, as you mentioned, and Owen played baseball, football, and basketball. So their relationship actually is like a very big, actually it's a massive part of this story.
It's kind of like the whole
thing.
The whole thing.
Like, according to some of her female peers, Lauryn was shy and sometimes lacked commonality with other girls her age because of how devoted she was to her athletic endeavors. But when she and Owen started dating, they became best friends and totally inseparable. So their parents actually became friends as well, because that's just kind of like the natural thing that happens. And Lauryn's mom, Kendra, was thrilled by this, as Owen's parents, Jill and Dave, were well known and they were really liked around town. So, she was happy that her daughter was dating someone who came from like this really nice family that she and Sean could be friends with. It kind of seemed like the perfect situation for Kendra. Then, when the kids were in 8th grade, Kendra became Owen's track team coach, and Owen referred to her as his second mom. Okay, so now that you guys have this kind of backstory on Lauryn and her life, she began receiving threatening messages back in October of 2020. Now, the first message that was sent to her, seemingly out of the blue, reeked of jealousy, leading her to initially feel that it was most likely a teen girl from their grade who was envious of her relationship with Owen, or perhaps maybe wanted Owen for themselves. The message read, quote, "Hi, Lauryn. Owen is breaking up with you. He no longer likes you, and he hasn't liked you for a while. It is obvious that he wants me. He laughs, smiles, touches my hair. Not sure what he told you, but he is coming to the Halloween party, and we are both DTF, or AKA down to fuck. You are a sweet girl, but I know I can give him what he wants. Sorry, not sorry."
Thank you for telling us what DTF means, because we didn't know.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that didn't know, I'm sure.
There's probably one person that knows
Yeah,
it.
probably.
So, but you made a good point that it's like she thinks this is coming from a peer, off the bat.
Right.
Because especially the language as well, like you said, we are both a DTF. Sorry, not sorry. It's important to note how youthful it sounds.
Yeah. Just the way the language is being sent over through text.
Well, given that Lauryn and Owen were just 13 at the time, Lauryn obviously was stunned and shared the message with Owen, who denied its validity. He's like, I don't know who sent that. I'm not DTF with any other girl.
Yeah, have no idea.
And probably not DTF with anybody because, again, 13 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
But tensions were already running high surrounding this community-wide Halloween party in question, because this is an annual staple in this small community of Beal City. It's thrown by the Wilson family, including their daughter Chloe, who is in the same grade as Lauryn and Owen. And the fact that it was mentioned at all is worth noting, because Owen and Chloe were good friends, but allegedly Lauryn hadn't been invited to this party, whereas Owen was. So if this person is saying that they're going to be at the party with Owen, and maybe it's Chloe because Chloe knew that she didn't invite Lauryn,
Sure, yeah. Off the bat, there's already some suspicion pointing in a particular direction.
And also, Lauryn Licari didn't think that sending a text message of this nature would have been entirely out of the ordinary for Chloe, who had a bit of a reputation for being a bully. So it seemed like she would do this type of thing. Well, Lauryn and Owen wrote this text off as a fluke and just decided to move forward. And nearly a year would pass before the messages would begin again. But they returned with a fervor that would make it so hard for this young couple to live normal lives. The text started up again in the form of jealousy-ridden taunts, such as, quote, "How's the happy couple? Preparing for the end of the golden relationship?" And "Owen loves me, and I will always be the girl he loves. He will be with me while your lonely, ugly ass is alone." Very creative. Another read, quote, "Could this be the end of the AKA golden couple with the relationship everyone idolizes?" Because just so everybody knows, they kind of were referred to as like a golden couple. They're both like blondish kids and
they're both athletic and somewhat popular.
Yeah, so they were referred to as that even at their young age. So clearly this person knows that. Well, even one came off as almost complimentary, I guess, before ending on a very sour note, reading, quote, "You're the definition of a perfect couple and will be the forever couple that gets married. Some of us don't want to hear it anymore." So Lauryn and Owen were understandably rattled, and they just wanted to figure out where the messages were coming from. Thus, Lauryn started calling the phone number and inadvertently received her first clue. Because although the texter didn't answer the phone, of course, they wrote back, quote, "Bruh, low, stop fucking calling. I ain't answering." And this rattled Lauryn more than the last few messages because only her close friends and family called her low. So it was clear that this person knew her, which obviously they knew her anyway because they know they're talking about Owen, so that's clear off the bat. But
interesting to pick up on that it might not just be some person at her school that isn't close with her, doesn't really know her.
Yeah, not some super random person.
It's got to be somebody within the circle, right?
Right. That's at least now what she's starting to believe. And unlike the message from October of 2020, the one that she received a year earlier, these messages set forth a barrage of thousands more messages that would continue for months and involve multiple other people in their wake. Soon, the texts were coming all day, every day, including when the teens were at school and asleep. On a slow day, this is a slow day, Lauryn would receive 6 texts, but sometimes as many as 50 would flood in. By the conclusion of this investigation that we're going to get to much later on, tens of thousands of texts were sent in total, which is like incomprehensible.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. I mean, just so unhinged.
And as time wore on, they were becoming increasingly derogatory and threatening. One text read, quote, "You are worthless and mean nothing. You never have. Get a fucking life out of here. Owen will never look at you again or talk to you. You fucked his life up so bad. His family fucking hates you for it. And he will never in his life acknowledge you again. Get the fuck lost, bitch. He is fucking done with you." It's like not funny, but it is because like for her to be receiving this, I mean, for her age, this is more so how people talk.
I guess it's just funny to me that like these are
ridiculous.
These are 13-year-olds, and it's like you fucked up his life forever. It's like
it's so dramatic.
You're 13, yeah, it's like you haven't even begun to really experience life yet, and you're saying stuff like this?
Well, that was such a common theme for the texter as well, like to tell Lauryn that Owen's life would be better off without her and better if she were dead, very, very dramatic. And also saying things like nobody would care if you were gone. So she's being very much harassed.
Yeah, and it seems like the texts are kind of just ramping up,
Yes.
It's like pushing the boundaries each time.
Absolutely.
To see how much like more of a fucked up person they can be.
Well, they also went as far as to take a picture of Lauryn and Owen from the homecoming dance in the first semester of their freshman year, but on top of the picture, at least on Lauryn's face, they edited like the vomiting emoji over her face.
Right.
And then they put the word skank and the word hoe in large red text on the image as well. So, this is somebody who has access to their photos, just like somebody who knows her nickname. It's very disturbing. Well, another picture of them featured the same vomiting emoji and read, quote, "Worst couple, JV hoe, never varsity. Ugliest at homecoming. Everyone better without. Sucks. Trash. And anorexic bitch."
Wild. Well, some of these texts seem to insinuate that they are originating from a group instead of just like from one individual. One read, quote, "You are useless. Leave him alone. He wants nothing to do with you. You embarrass him, for real. He picks us over you every day at school. He always has and always will. Owen told us that you would help us take her down. You still in, Owen? You have a final plan? LOL, he hates you. You embarrass him. Make him miserable. Facts. Facts. He avoids your sorry ass all day. You see him pick us over you, for real. You worst girlfriend. He wants zero with your sorry, ugly, anorexic ass."
It doesn't even make any sense. Like, it's all over the place, these texts. This is like one text message as well, and it's all over the place.
It's just like word vomit.
It's word vomit, absolutely. Yeah. And also, again, twice they said the word us, which is why you're saying then it's like either somebody wants you to believe it's multiple people or it is multiple people.
Right, yeah, but which one is it? Yeah. So many of the messages seemed specifically targeted at pitting Lauryn and Owen against each other and showing mistrust between the two. One eerie message read, quote, "Owen, we have a plan. You helping us? We take her down for you, and it will break you, we promise. Owen, remember, you said, of course you would help us. You hate her. You said, worst mistake, ugly anorexic toddler. Never talk to her again. Our plan will break you. We promise. Help us?"
Right, so it's like Owen's getting ones that are like, F her, and then she's getting ones that are like, Owen is mine.
Yeah.
So it's very much, these messages are clearly anti-Lauryn.
Well, that text actually doesn't end there, so it actually continues on to say, "We know it's what you want. We know who his mom wants him with. It's clear. Get on Facebook and you will see. She liked this morning." So I don't really know. Now it's kind of like trying to pit the mom against Lauryn.
Well, just to prove that, like, Lauryn doesn't belong with Owen. And here's even more reasons why. Because his mom doesn't want you guys together, which is not true outwardly.
Sure. Well, generally, Lauryn was able to write off these as, like, paranoid delusions intended to hurt them and their relationship. Now, typically, she wouldn't even respond. Occasionally, she would try to send back, like, kind of like a snappy response. And once, she even pleaded, quote, "I honestly cannot take any more and will do anything you want if you will please stop."
Sad.
Yeah, really sad. On some occasions, she would stick up for herself, once writing back, quote, "I don't care what you say. Owen and I are solid, and you're not going to break us." Well, strangely, sometimes, the texters seemed to grow a bit of a conscience. They once told Lauryn, quote, "His life would be better if you were dead." And then after a half hour, they wrote back saying, quote, "Sorry, I shouldn't say dead. That was too far."
Oh my God.
Like,
okay, that's too far?
Yeah. But not the, stalking in general. That's not too far. But these eventually elevated into actual death threats, including, quote, "Kill yourself, bitch," and, quote, "You are the ugliest person I've ever seen. You are worthless and mean nothing. Jump off a bridge." Crazy. Some of them also became very graphic and sexual in nature, which obviously is very concerning given the fact that they were only 13 years old at this time. And remember this for later because this is going to be very important. The texter once wrote to Lauryn saying, quote, "He wants sex, BJs, and making out. You don't give it up. He cheated on your ass for more." Even more disturbing messages said, quote, "Owen and I down to suck, finger fuck." It's just so stupid. "My fucking tits in his face. Fucking make him horny. Make it cream." Ugh, what the
I'm sorry I had to read that.
God. Why do I always have to read these things?
There's another one, though.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay, all right. Here's the other one. It says, quote, "His dick and fingers, my pussy and mouth."
Insane.
It just, I don't know why. It always falls on my paragraph to read these things. So what initially seemed like a case of simple resentment from like a bullying classmate was beginning to affect their relationship and their school life, of course. Because, these texts are just flooding in constantly, and it's just getting sick and twisted. As Lauryn and Owen began to open up to their peers and friends at school about what was going on, the messages started to reference certain classroom happenings, like who Owen had been sitting by in a certain class and what a group of friends had been discussing at an after-school practice. So it seems like somebody was kind of in the know. Somebody was definitely, like, watching. And because this was becoming basically the talk of the town, of course, this is not,
This is big news in Beal City.
Yeah, it's big news. So eventually, Lauryn and Owen's friends even started to do their own sleuthing about why this was happening and who could possibly be behind it, you know? So Owen said that he was, dumbfounded because he had no idea who could have had beef with either him or Lauryn, insisting that their small graduating class was mostly just close to each other and that no one would have a reason outside of, petty jealousy to do this. So they're like looking around at their classmates and they're like, nobody really hates each other, so I don't know who this could be coming from.
Especially because somebody is going to such great lengths. They're taking so much time out of their day to send all of these text messages, and when Lauryn blocks their number, they create a new number. So even though this is 2021, you still have to know how to do that or be able to figure out how to do that and be that devoted to continuing this harassment and not have fear that you're going to be, that the police are going to come after you.
And the frustrating part, too, for Lauryn is the fact that her only option at this point is to just not have a phone. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, that's the only option.
That done.
Which, as a teenager, she's about to get into high school. That's got to be
in high school at this point,
she's in high school at this point, yeah. But when it started, she was,
Right.
But that would be a frustrating situation. It's like, oh, I can't have a cell phone. I can't talk to my friends. I can't have a cell phone for emergencies just because this person is, cyberstalking me and they keep changing their number every time I block them.
And you don't know who it is. So it's like, if you get rid of your phone, are they going to go to letter writing? Like, what are they going to do next?
Yeah, what are they going to do next?
Well, Lauryn's parents just kind of assured her that it was most likely a jealous bully in her class and she should ignore it, even though that seems totally impossible to do. And her mom was just telling her to stop reading the messages, which obviously would also feel impossible if you're getting so many. Just imagine the anxiety of, like, a text pops up and it's an unknown number. Again, how are you not going to read it? And even if you're not reading it, you're still receiving them. And if you block the number, you're still going to receive them from the next number. So it's not going to stop, like you're saying, as long as you have a phone. So this isn't something that she can just ignore. I'm sure every time her phone buzzed or rang, her heart dropped.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah, at this point, definitely.
But then the text began to raise even bigger alarm bells when it seemed like Lauryn was not only being threatened, but physically stalked based on the text about what she was wearing or what she had been doing that day. Which, of course, as an impressionable 13-year-old girl, was really tough because the messages were so mean. We've already read some that call her an anorexic bitch and things like that, but, like, they really were coming for her physical appearance to break her down. Like, one particularly nasty text read, quote, "Fucking trash bitch, don't fucking wear leggings, ain't no one wanna see your anorexic flat ass." So they're, like, being very specific about why what she's wearing doesn't look good, and it's so mean. She was once so embarrassed by the messages taunting her outfit that she asked her mom to bring her a change of clothes to school.
That's just so tragic and sad.
Well, again, early on, both sets of parents, as well as Lauryn and Owen, suspected fellow freshman Chloe Wilson, because Chloe and Owen had both admitted to having crushes on each other in the past. So it would feel like this girl, who's kind of a bully, would be doing this because maybe she wants Owen and wants Lauryn out of the picture, and she's willing to go to such lengths to make that happen.
Right, so the suspicion is now kind of heating up for Chloe Wilson.
Well, for more reason than just that, because get this. Chloe's father, Craig Wilson, happened to be a local police sergeant. And one of the texts, from the texter, of course, mentioned that they had people who would protect them. And at one point, in the midst of receiving a ton of threatening texts, Lauryn's Snapchat was hacked. And she was told that the hack came from Broomfield Township, Michigan, which is 15 minutes southwest of Beal City, and the same place where Chloe lived with her family. At another point, the messages seemed to be coming from Florida, which is where Chloe was on vacation with her family at the time. Others came in from Michigan's Upper Peninsula, where Chloe and her family were snowmobiling for the weekend. You're seeing this trend?
Yeah, so it's like wherever Chloe is, it seems like there's a text coming from that particular area.
And by the way, it's not like this was being tracked in the moment, and that police were like, wait, but Chloe's in Florida. Like this was found out later, but it is like aligning with where Chloe is. And that is obviously very concerning on top of everything else that we have. But at the same time, when these suspicions were mere suspicions, they didn't have any proof. So Lauryn and Owen were just becoming so fearful that they began to dread going to school, and they didn't know who they could trust. Actually, Owen's parents would restrict his phone usage so that he wouldn't be able to see all the messages come in, especially at night. So his mom, Jill, noticed that overnight he was getting so many messages because she had his phone and it would buzz, 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 and she's seeing all these come in, but that's why she would take his phone so that, to kind of alleviate some of the stress from that. So, of course, all of this is really weighing heavy on the Licari family and the McKinney family.
Well, weeks into the text in the fall of their freshman year, which is in 2021, the cracks in their relationship began to show. And by the end of 2021, their young love buckled under the trauma and stress of this harassment. In early November, Owen couldn't take it anymore, and he called Lauryn to say that it was all just too much, and that they should finally split up.
Yeah, because it was clear to him that their relationship was the source of the harassment.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, Lauryn asked if they could just take a break instead, but unfortunately the damage was already done.
Because she's like, I'm already being harassed and now I lose my boyfriend?
Yeah.
And my best friend?
Well, the one highlight was that they both hoped that this would possibly satisfy the stalker. They're like, okay, you win, we broke up, this is where it ends. And that possibly this harassment would finally stop. But unfortunately, it was only going to get worse. Now, predictably, the texter had a field day with the revelation that Lauryn and Owen were no longer together. In the aftermath of the breakup, the texter taunted Lauryn, saying, quote, "He already chose us, not you. He won't be with you this weekend, so don't even ask. Maybe you shouldn't have picked cross country over him. You proved that he isn't important to you. We were, though." Then it also goes on to say, "You don't get with him in bed. You don't sneak out with him. You fucking dress awful. Ain't no guy want that."
It's like, okay, like, you got what you wanted. Leave me alone.
Yeah, like, fuck.
But now it's
chill
like, now
out.
I'm not with him and there's still a problem.
Yeah, there's still a problem. And kind of surprisingly, in the months after the breakup, the messages showed no sign of stopping or even slowing down at all. In fact, the texter used the breakup against Lauryn, telling her all about the other students that Owen was flirting with, and that he was bad-mouthing her to anybody in the school that would listen to him.
Which is so not something Owen would do.
Yeah, this is definitely not, I mean, if you watch that documentary, you kind of get the sense of who Owen is. He seems like a really good kid.
Yeah.
You know, seems like he's respectful and honest and nice. This is just something that I don't think Owen would do.
He's not like a conniving snake.
No, not at all. But the Licaris and the McKinneys remained friends and continued to try to kind of tackle this issue together. They're like, this is still going on, let's try to figure it out. Friends suggested that Kendra change her daughter's number or simply block the harasser, but as we mentioned, you know, that didn't seem like it was really going to work. But Kendra seemed hell-bent on getting to the bottom of the matter and finding the identity of the person harassing her daughter.
Of course. She's like, who the hell is doing this? Because again, causing so much turmoil in the home. And Lauryn, of course, goes to her mom when she's in trouble with this and saying, look at what this person said now. She's watching her daughter fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting so out of hand, as you guys can already tell, that Kendra, Sean, Jill, and Dave decided to meet with Beal City's principal, Dan Boyer, feeling pretty confident that the messages were coming from another student, especially because some of the messages were being sent about school matters and about their mutual friends, as well as during the time when the students would be at school. So they're like, it's got to be somebody at the school, because who else would be able to...
Who else would know all this?
Who else would know all this information, like what I'm wearing that day?
Well, to her dismay, Lauryn was passed over for varsity basketball and was placed on junior varsity instead. And we can think back to those pictures the pictures that were made of her saying horrible things like never varsity.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Taunting her essentially for not being good enough at basketball. And then this happens. And of course, I'm sure she's thinking, God, maybe they're right. Basketball is so important to her. Well, then a text came in that read, "You suck at basketball. he ain't dating no suck-ass anorexic not good enough JV girl. As Lauryn continued to feel like a freaking punching bag, classmates recall that she largely removed herself from her friends completely, with the only person offering her any comfort being her mom. Meanwhile, again, Kendra and Jill were desperate to find the identity of the texter and made the decision to elevate the issue past just the school, but also bring the issue to the Isabella County Sheriff's Office. Kendra later said in her interview in the Netflix documentary on this case, again, Unknown Number, the high school catfish, quote, "Unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't think the school handled things very well." But the police interviewed both Lauryn and Owen extensively, beginning to wonder if Lauryn had been sending the text herself in order to garner attention and sympathy. But they were not the only ones to believe this theory, because her classmates and some of Owen's female friends started to wonder the same thing, as they noticed that there were specific talking points that Lauryn would have knowledge of that would subsequently appear in the text. So there's kind of some similarities between Lauryn and this texter in the way that they speak. You know, obviously not saying things like anorexic ugly ass, but
just other little things.
Other little things.
Which is very interesting.
Yes. Well, in their meeting with the police, Jill McKenney took a logical and very tactful approach, printing off hundreds of pages of messages from the thread and bringing them in a box to the school's superintendent as well as the sheriff. And while she was super angry, Kendra was very emotional. She sobbed through the entire interview. When asked if they were concerned that Lauryn would harm herself as a result of the messages, both Kendra and Jill confirmed that they were. And if you're wondering why we haven't really been talking much about Lauryn Licari, in this meeting, which took place in January of 2022, Jill and Dave, again, these are Owen's parents, were shocked that Lauryn Licari didn't seem to have extensive knowledge about the severity of the messages that his daughter was receiving, while the other three parents did. So, he was like weirdly out of the loop of all of it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think some people kind of found that as being odd, that like, hey, why are we, the three of us, more involved in this situation and you're not?
Yeah, and you know what's going on, but not the extent of it. Like, how do you not know every single detail?
Yeah, well, the families begged the school to ban phones from the classroom, but the principal and superintendent turned the notion down, saying that parents wanted access to their children during the day in case of, emergencies. Instead, the principal, Dan Boyer, joined forces with Kendra and Jill and asked Lauryn to text him whenever she received a threatening text message, and then prompted the freshman year teachers to take note of whomever, they saw texting at that very time. But this didn't yield any leads. So he's saying like, okay, as soon as Lauryn gets a text message, I want her to text me. Then I want all the teachers to look around and see which kids are on their phones so we can kind of narrow this down.
Which is like, I get the sentiment, but it's like maybe they set the text. I mean, it's like you'd have to really be looking at the exact right moment.
Yeah.
And what if some kid is just sending a text to send a text to somebody else? Like,
sure.
It's tough, but they're trying a little bit.
Well, surveillance cameras surrounding the gym during basketball practice were closely monitored, but nothing was uncovered. Sheriff Michael Main gently tipped off Police Sergeant Craig Wilson, who was, of course, Chloe's father, that at the time, she was considered a prime suspect in this harassment case. But Chloe, on the other hand, insisted that she had done nothing wrong. She once even gave Owen her phone for the entire school day so that he could see that she wasn't using it to text anybody. She also offered up her phone to her dad for forensic examination, and her phone was found to not have any connection to these harassing texts. Police spoke to many of the kids, including Chloe's close friends, Macy Johnston and Sophie Weber, just trying to kind of get the full picture here. Many school officials, including the principal himself, believed that it was possible that Chloe was the ringleader for these messages, but that all three girls were potentially in on it. But Chloe, Macy, and Sophie instead pointed the finger back at another student, Adriana Cook, who actually happened to be Owen's cousin. So this was, seemingly at random. But according to Adriana, she was bullied by the three girls to the point that her mom took to Facebook to complain about it, which only made the issue much worse. But after Christmas of 2021, Jill actually started to wonder if maybe Adriana, her own niece, was actually involved. Because the texter had passed along a picture of the McKennies' extended family enjoying Christmas together, and even remarking about specific gifts that Owen had gotten that year. So in shock, Jill acknowledged that the only person in Owen's grade who was also at that gathering was Adriana. But then, Adriana herself started receiving these messages.
Which is kind of weird timing as well, to be like, well, I just got a text, so it can't be me, right?
It could, though. At this point, suspicions were falling back on Chloe Wilson again. But it's like, maybe people were getting too close, and Adriana's like, hey, I'm just gonna send these, or have somebody send these texts to me, or I have another phone, and, it's like, there are situations in which this could happen.
Sure. But in the moment, they're like, you could either write it off as, oh, well, she got a text too, it's not her, or she knows we're on to her and she faked that as well. So it's like, it still doesn't give you the answer.
People didn't know at this point who to believe.
Well, in the spring of 2022, Owen met and started dating a new girl. But despite the fact that she lived in Pinconning, Michigan, which is about an hour and 10 minutes northeast of Beal City, she soon relayed to Owen that her mom had started receiving messages from the anonymous texter, which is insane how you're gonna make that connection.
Yeah, so now it seems like maybe instead of Lauren being the focus of this, it's now shifted to Owen, because it's like Owen's with this new girl, and which is crazy to think that Owen's new girlfriend, who lives, what'd you say, like an hour away?
Yeah. How is she getting?
Her
how is her mom getting
is
them?
getting these messages.
It's insane. So obviously this girl is like, oh, this is freaking me out. I don't want to get involved in this. So they broke up. And Owen was also really afraid, though. He was like, I don't want you to be harassed now. So it's for the best that we're not dating.
Poor Owen.
I know.
He just at this point, he can't date anybody.
I know he doesn't want any other girl to be dragged into this because they really don't know who it is. Well, by the spring of 2022, the FBI had joined the investigation efforts, and the investigation was then taken over by Brad Peter, an employee of the Bay City Public Safety Department who was working with the FBI's Mid-Michigan Computer Crimes Task Force. Brad requested that everyone who had received a threatening message send along the phone number that it originated from, assuming that the texter was using burner apps and fake phone number generators, which only hold records for about 2 weeks. Well, one of the apps that the texter had been using was called Pinger. This is an app that shrouded the original phone number and then created a new one. And the first hits were from Verizon IP addresses in both Ann Arbor and Detroit, as well as on the Wi-Fi server at Beal City High School. So Brad concluded that it was absolutely somebody with a connection to the school, but he needed more information to determine the texter's identity. By 2022, Brad Peter heard back from Verizon about the numbers that had connected to the IP addresses in Ann Arbor and Detroit, Michigan, and searched hundreds of those phone numbers against the numbers of local Beal City students and parents. Like, this is a huge job.
Yeah, and it's crazy that now over, this stalking high school case, the FBI is getting involved because it's just not ending.
Yeah, and they need somebody who knows what the hell they're doing to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, but the cards are starting to fall here.
Yeah, because guess what? One phone number consistently matched. Kendra Licari's, Lauren's mom. So obviously, this was beyond unbelievable, considering the person receiving the brunt of these harassing messages was her own daughter, right? Especially because, not only had these messages been harassing Lauren and her body, the way she looked, her life, but they were also sexualizing her and sexualizing another young boy, Owen, when he was only 12 years old, right? Those really lovely messages that you read us earlier, Heath.
Yeah.
So if it's true that it's Kendra, that would be pretty disturbing, right?
It would be, yeah.
But many people actually believed all along that Kendra had been behind it. So this wasn't like, this was a huge shock, but a lot of people were wondering kind of, during the investigation and while these texts were coming in, could it be Kendra? And is it, by the way, Kendra? Is it actually Kendra?
Yeah. Well, in August of 2022, when the police made this connection and began digging into the unreal Kendra angle, the Licaris were staying at Sean's mom's house after an eviction and a financial roller coaster due to Kendra's mismanagement of their budget. Because while the stalking had been happening for over the last year, the Licari family had other problems happening at home. Kendra mentioned to multiple different friends that they had missed mortgage payments on their dream home, which was a 4-bedroom log cabin. And when their check for the annual trip to Florida with friends bounced, she told them that her bank account had been hacked. After their car was repossessed, an ordeal with a scammer in Saginaw, Michigan was supposedly to blame.
So there's always kind of like
There's always an excuse. And this element is something that was largely glossed over in the Netflix documentary about this case, because local parents had long held suspicions that someone close to the case was responsible for the threats. In February of 2022, Craig Wilson texted Sheriff Michael Main, quote, "Honestly, Mike, I don't know if you know Kendra or not, but you really need to be cautious. There's a pretty good part of me that thinks that she may very well be doing this." Now, on top of this, the school's principal had previously noticed on surveillance that Kendra was using her phone pretty frequently while she coached practice, and that she had 2 phones.
kind of crazy that he clocked that at the time.
Yeah, he did clock it. So these 2 phones, one was for her personal use, and the other was for her IT position at Ferris State. Because guess what? Kendra worked in IT as a cell phone specialist for Ferris State University. I mean, that was her position, which is essentially someone who knows the ins and outs of operating systems, hardware, software on mobile devices. Someone who could very much conceal their mobile identity and be a full-on cyberstalker. Even someone who could make it seem like the texts that they were sending were coming from a location that they weren't.
Which brings us back to Chloe.
Yeah.
And how the messages were coming from Florida and the area where her home is. And somebody like Kendra would know how to point a location in a place that it's not. Principal Boyer's secretary, Diane Fussman, who read transcripts of the text, once concluded, quote, "This is an adult. I wouldn't put it past Kendra. I always thought she was a little obsessive with her child. My gut told me that this just isn't one of our kids."
Kind of crazy because, obviously in the documentary, they don't really talk much about the suspicion in the beginning surrounding Kendra, but,
Probably didn't want to give it away.
Yeah, they didn't want to give it away. They wanted this ultimate twist, of course.
But it is interesting to know that so many people were like, I wouldn't put it past her, because also, as we know, Kendra was like overly involved in her daughter's life to a fault. It's not like she's just a supportive mom. She's like obsessed with her daughter's life and obsessed with everything that Lauryn has going on. I mean, there's actually a couple of things that I want to share regarding that and why people were suspicious and why they thought she was kind of an odd bird. Because remember earlier when we talked about how Kendra was like excited about Lauryn first dating Owen, like when they got together, you said she was thrilled, right?
Yeah.
Well, a big reason for that wasn't just because, his parents are likable and he's a good kid, but because she was almost getting this higher status by association, being in like that close with Jill and Dave. So to her, she was like, I'm gonna be cool. Like,
yeah,
I'm cool,
I mean, it's just reeks of total insecurity.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're gonna dive more into like where that seems to stem from. But also, one time, a friend of Lauryn's witnessed Kendra, like back in the day, pick up Lauryn's phone when Lauryn was busy, and she responded to Owen for her daughter saying, "I love you," which is like, what the fuck?
Which is like something that you just don't do.
Because it makes it seem like you want to be your daughter. Like you're like kind of obsessed with her. You can't be your own person. You want to be young. You want to be a teen. You want to be going through all these things. You're inserting yourself, and people saw this, like even on another occasion. So basically, like we said as well, Kendra would go to all the sports games, but not just Lauryn's. She would go to all of Owen's games, which we didn't tell you guys earlier. But basically, back in 2021, the McKennies had to ask Kendra not to attend one of Owen's tournaments that was all the way in Florida because Kendra was trying to make this like, oh, let's go on a joint family vacation. And they're no, we're just going to our son's tournament. But she was like, injecting herself in everything to the point where they were like, back down, girl.
Yeah, she was trying to insert herself. I mean, it's like, it's not your kid. Why the hell would you, why are you going to Owen's tournament in Florida? That's states away.
It's like she wanted to be Lauryn and to be with Owen on some kind of like twisted level,
Very twisted level.
Well, also Jill, who is of course Owen's mother, said, quote, the family's whole life was just watching Lauryn play sports. If that tells you, again, how involved Kendra was. So now we get to the tipping point in this case, because while 15-year-old Lauryn was swimming at their home in August of 2022, 42-year-old Kendra was in the front yard when Sheriff Michael Main made his way down the driveway hoping to speak with her because Brad traced one number, and it was Kendra. So now they're like, we got to go talk to her and see what the hell is up. She happened to be taking out the trash at that very moment and was informed that he was there in order to seize her devices. She was then offered up a search warrant, and he leveled with her. He suspected that she had been sending the messages herself, and he told her as much. She, of course, denied this, but as her discomfort grew and she came to realize that she couldn't talk her way out of this accusation, she insisted, close to tears, that she did not send the original texts, but that she fed off them and essentially continued their reign of terror. So saying, well, the one that came in 2020, I didn't send that one, but I did send the others, which was tens of thousands of texts, by the way.
Also, as we know, the first one wasn't as crazy as they progressed and they got worse and worse. She's admitting, I sent those terrible ones.
Yeah.
I didn't send the original one,
I didn't send that chill first one.
Well, at the time that this was happening, Sean was at work and Lauryn was brought inside while Michael and another officer explained what they had learned.
That must have just felt like the whole world was crashing down on her, that the person who for over a year had been incessantly harassing her about her body, about her relationship, who was the source and the reason for her breakup with a boy that she loved and cared deeply for, who was her best friend, is her own mother.
I mean, it's just such a level of betrayal that I don't know how you could come back from that. I just don't know.
So in the kitchen, like by the kitchen counter, here is Kendra and her daughter Lauryn and the police officer. And the officer is explaining to Lauryn that your mother was behind this. People make mistakes, but this is the truth of what's going on. And immediately, I know that I'm not alone here. You are just like, you're so irked because Kendra stands up, Lauryn's sitting down, Kendra's sitting down. Kendra gets up and her face is just so annoying. And she goes over to Lauryn and she hugs her and she's like petting her leg and she's being very much like, no, baby, don't hate me. She's like giving that. And she's hugging Lauryn as Lauryn is receiving the news that her mom is her stalker and bully.
It almost feels like she's not even trying to be like, no, don't hate me. She's just like, is this a scary situation for you, Lauryn?
True, yeah.
Is this scary for you? I'm
I
here
love
to protect
you.
I'm here. I'm your mother. And it's like, get the fuck away from her. Get the fuck away.
Well, because also Lauryn isn't like, Mom, what the hell? And gets up and hits her.
No, Lauryn she's just confused.
But she's very stoic. Like she's like sitting with her leg up on the chair and she's kind of like playing with her toenails and playing with her nails. And she just looks like numb. But she doesn't look particularly upset. She just looks numb. Like it's
like something
really
broke.
crashing. Yeah, it's like something broke.
Yeah.
But she's allowing her mom, like I kind of picture her in like, in the movies where like everything becomes like, it sounds like you're in like a glass or like you're underwater. Like I kind of picture like watching Lauryn react.
Yeah,
I kind
just
of
like
imagine
like a ringing in your ears.
Yeah.
And all you can do is kind of just sit there and look.
Right, because she's not hugging her mom back. She's just letting her mom touch her while she's looking straight and stoic and serious.
Well, at this point, in a daze, Lauryn called her dad, who rushed home from the mechanic shop, to be by her side, completely shocked that Kendra, his wife, was behind this entire ordeal. When Sheriff Maine approached him as he arrived home and asked about her devices, Sean readily offered up the fact that she typically used 2 phones, one supposedly for work and one supposedly for personal correspondence. But she also had a 3rd phone, which she had waved off his suspicions about. Coincidentally, she had been using this phone when the sheriff drove up, and she hastily hid it in a stack of firewood alongside the house when she rushed over to greet him.
Yeah, so when the police are there and they're like, where's the other phone?
She knew she was cooked, and she's like, put it in the fire.
Yeah, but when they're asking her about it inside the house, she's like playing dumb, and then they're like, I'll tear this whole house apart. I don't want to, but I'll tear the whole house apart. Where's the phone? And then she's like, it's outside. It's on the side of the house. It's in the, like, she was lying. She was still trying to conceal it.
Yeah, she's
And this is even after Lauryn found out. So even afterwards, she's like trying to downplay her involvement and cover up her own involvement by not coughing up the phone.
Yeah, well, she's a liar and she's a manipulator.
True, yes.
Well, as Sheriff Maine spoke with Sean outside the home, he also revealed yet another shocking piece of information. The job that he thought his wife had been reporting to for over a year had been a complete lie. So back in 2019, Kendra had been working at Central Michigan University and then left, supposedly for a large salary increase. But this hadn't actually been the result of a new job offer after all. She had been fired from Central Michigan University for poor performance. She had obtained the IT job at Ferris State University that she had been bragging about, but it didn't actually come with this pay increase that she told Sean about. And this is why she found herself upside down with bill collectors coming after her for utility payments, insurance payments, and credit card payments, leading to the foreclosure of their home that they were living in at the time. Though Kendra told her family that they were merely selling it. So when she said all these excuses about, this scammer, and that's the reason why we couldn't pay this thing, or, all these excuses she was making, it was because she was lying about having this job this entire time.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine what this was like for Sean, who is saying that he didn't know any of this. And like I said in the beginning, she spearheaded everything Kendra did in the household. She was in charge of their finances. So he never looked at their bank account and things like that. He just trusted Kendra to be in charge of it.
Right.
I'm sure he could have, but he just let her do it and didn't realize how bad things really were. So then, to top all that off, to find out that your wife is the one who has been bullying and harassing your daughter on that the body cam footage, he's so upset, and he's essentially saying, like, you need to leave, tells her to go to her parents' house, and that she needs to get away from Lauryn, all while she continues to like pet Lauryn and hug her and try to control the situation. But it's so disturbing because Kendra got to play hero, right? Because like I mentioned earlier, who did Lauryn go to when she couldn't turn to her friends anymore about her stalker?
Her mom, Kendra, yeah.
So her mom got to coddle her and be there for her and comfort her through this hard time that was going on
perpetuated
for so long.
Because of her.
Yeah. So it's like she got in this cycle where she's like hurting her daughter and then helping her.
I mean, Kendra really just screwed up her entire family's life. I mean, not just financially, but in so many other ways. She was just a terrible partner, a terrible mother.
And when she tells the story again, like in the documentary, she's telling it as the doc is going on. She's telling it like she wasn't the one behind it and saying, like, we just really wanted to know who did this. And then at the end, she's like, it's me, Jessica.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
No, but she also doesn't say that. She doesn't like, it was me. She was like, she starts crying and says, I'm sorry. I don't know why I did it. It was like I was wearing a mask. Like she doesn't seem to know why she did it, but she certainly has a lot of excuses.
Oh, yeah. There is a long list of excuses that she makes to justify what she did.
But she also, again, is saying, I didn't send that original text, which I just want to read to you guys to to remind you which one was apparently not from Kendra, from October of 2020. She said, quote, or they said, quote, "Hi, Lauryn. Owen is breaking up with you. He no longer likes you and hasn't liked you for a while. It is obvious he wants me. He laughs, smiles, touches my hair. Not sure what he told you, but he is coming to the Halloween party and we are both DTF. You are a sweet girl, but I know I can give him what he wants. Sorry, not sorry, exclamation point." So
Right.
I will say the language in this one is a little bit different. The other ones, like there was more spelling. It was more like the letter U instead of the word U. But it's also possible that she leaned more into the character as time went on. But yeah, she's saying that one wasn't her, but all the other thousands of texts were her.
Well, it's interesting because that text actually sounds more like, adult-like, because there's actual commas in that text being used. Like you
Yes.
said, it's not just, it's not just the letter U.
Yeah, it just looked different a little bit. But
Yeah.
again, she could have leaned more into the character and tried to embody a young person more.
That seems like that's exactly what she did.
Well, do you guys want to know why Kendra's job at Ferris State came to an end? She had been put on probation for excessive time on her phone after complaints that she was constantly texting and making non-work related phone calls came in to the higher ups. So
Yeah.
she's at her job.
She's at her job harassing her own daughter.
And that is part of why she lost her job, which got them kicked out of 4 houses, essentially got them evicted from a different house. Her entire financial life crumbled because she was so obsessed with harassing her daughter over text. And that's the truth. So the proof is everywhere. Well, after the police came to the house that day, Kendra moved in with her parents while the forensic searches were completed and an arrest warrant was finally sought. And she was officially arrested on December 12th, 2022. As you guys can imagine, the news of her arrest sent shockwaves through this small community. This was like the biggest thing ever because nobody saw this coming. Even when we first looked into this case and first heard about it and watched the doc, I didn't see that. I gasped. What do you mean?
I was completely shocked. And this is a town, a pretty small town, like you said, 300 people.
Yeah.
So
the gossip surrounding this isn't stopping anytime soon. Because although many, again, had their suspicions, many were still surprised and appalled because even if you thought you knew, it was still such an unbelievable conclusion to come to. You're like, wait, really? It was her? I just kind of thought it was because she was a little weird.
Yeah, I suspected that it was her, but I didn't actually think that it was going to be her, and then it was.
Owen remembered that initially, quote, "I didn't show a lot of emotion, but on the inside, it was definitely super loud." Meanwhile, Lauryn withdrew from school and finished her sophomore year online. In Kendra's first hearing, she was ordered to have no contact with any of her victims, including, of course, her main victim, her daughter, but she was released for the time being on $5,000 bond.
And poor Lauryn, she's like, now I got to do my sophomore year online because everybody's going to be talking about my fucking crazy mom.
Yeah.
And, it's so sad.
But she also had some very conflicting feelings about her mom because she missed her mom so much, even though they weren't supposed to talk. This is why. So she's like, I miss my mom from not talking to her, that she wrote a letter to the judge to petition for contact despite everything that happened. So she still wanted to talk to her mom, which we're going to get into in a minute.
Well, it's hard. It's like, this is your mother, you kind of want to hate her, but you still kind of love her, and you're confused. You don't really know what to do.
Well, on April 26, 2023, Kendra pleaded guilty to 2 counts of cyberstalking and was sentenced to 19 months to 5 years in prison, with the judge calling her offenses, quote, "the worst in human nature." At her sentencing, Kendra said through tears, quote, "I am sorry for my behavior to Owen McKenney and his family. I am sorry for my behavior to Chloe Wilson and her family. I am sorry to my daughter Lauryn and my husband Sean." Something that I really want to know is how there were never sexual charges leveled on Kendra.
Yeah.
The fact that she had sent sexually explicit messages about and to a minor And she never received any charges for that.
I mean, yeah, she's saying stuff like finger fucking and creaming and all that weird, gross shit.
Exactly, about a 12-year-old.
To a fucking kid. So
to a kid about a kid.
So, yeah, I'm kind of confused as to why there weren't, like, sexual harassment charges also brought on top of just regular stalking and harassment charges.
Because the sexual element, like the sexual harassment element, was a huge piece of the cyberbullying. It wasn't like, oh, even if you did that once, like again, like you read, Heath, those horrifically strange messages, to realize that those came from a 40-year-old woman about a 12-year-old boy is beyond sick.
It's
and that
disgusting.
She is just, here 19 months to 5 years and she doesn't have to be labeled a sexual predator, even though that was sexual predator behavior.
Well, here comes one of her grand excuses. Why don't you read us what she said?
Yeah, because actually one of her excuses has to do with something sexual occurring to her, because she's saying kind of her excuse, if you will, or one of her reasonings for her behavior, one of her explanations, really, I guess, was this. She explained that she, Kendra, had suffered a sexual assault when she was a teenager. She said she was raped when she was like 17 years old, and that this had left her with severe depression and anxiety, which had gone untreated and spiraled into severe mental illness, resulting in her depraved actions. She said that she had been, quote, unaware that I was in crisis for many years, and explained that the text had been a stunt originally intended to protect Lauryn from what she herself had been through. But she admitted, quote, it was a blessing that I was caught because it forced me to stop. But here's what I have to say to that.
She's still trying to take the blame off of herself.
Yeah. It's not like the texts were it's not like Lauryn was dating a dangerous guy and she's trying to save her daughter and that the texts were learning lessons. It's like your text had nothing to do with protecting your child. She was in a safe, healthy relationship and with a person that you liked. You love Owen and you love his family. So I would understand it more if the text messages were like harassing in the sense that they were trying to help her. But they were really fucked up, mean text messages, and again, sexually explicit. So that is not connecting for me.
I think one of the things here was that Kendra was just insecure. She was bored with her life. She had lost her job. She had all this free time on her hands. She wanted to feel like she was young again because obviously she lives vicariously through her daughter Lauryn and all of Lauryn's, athletic things that she does. And so she just decided to be, a freshman in high school again.
Exactly. She embodied a freshman in high school. She embodied a mean bully at the school. And, obviously, either way, this case does have a lot to do with mental health because somebody who's fully in their right mind would not have done what Kendra did. So it can't logistically be picked apart. But it's just, I don't know. It's hard to hear that excuse when it really doesn't feel like it aligns.
Well, I still think she's an idiot.
Well, actually, everybody agrees with you, as well as Principal Boyer, because he called it a case of cyber Munchausen's, and even her family acknowledged that she relished attention from a young age. So like you said, Heath, very insecure, just wanted attention. And
well, it's kind of crazy because she was getting attention on kind of two levels, as you hinted to earlier. It's like she gets attention because she knows that she's the one doing the harassing and sending the text messages. But then on the other level, she's getting attention from Lauryn, who is trying to confide in her, and Kendra gets to be there and comfort her daughter. So it's like a double whammy of attention that Kendra gets here.
So true. And all at the same time, she gets to pretend like she's a teenager. And while she's at work, she's wrapped up in the dramas of Beal City High, instead of her real adult life. Well, Kendra maintains that she got carried away and swept up in the fantasy of the persona that she had created for herself. She admits this. But she also likely enjoyed the sense of victimhood that it brought her. You can't really deny. She admitted that she may have been allowing her own insecurities about her looks and her body to seep in, which is why she was so quick to criticize her daughter's physical appearance.
May have?
Well, also, she was probably just jealous that Lauryn was young and, I don't know. It's just crazy, people.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
Well, Sean did divorce Kendra and won full custody of Lauryn. And for her junior year, Lauryn returned to Beal City High, which was, very hard for her. Owen, who was once her best friend and closest confidant, avoided Lauryn altogether. And Chloe Wilson and her family harbored suspicions that Lauryn may have known who was behind the messages all along, though Lauryn does maintain that she had no idea. In Kendra's highly anticipated interview, An Unknown Number, like Daphne brought up earlier, she explains away her criminal activity by saying, quote, "Every single one of us makes mistakes. Not a single one of us has lived a perfect life. And realistically, a lot of us have probably broke the law at some point or another and not got caught. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm sure people drove drunk. Haven't been caught, right?" I think everybody hates the fact that she said that in that documentary. But again, if you get caught, you're in the same situation I'm in, but for a different thing. So I do feel that, people lose sight of that. I know to some, I'm a headline, I'm a villain, I'm a bad mom, I'm whatever. But that's because they know one little piece of my story. They don't know my whole story.
Girl, we know enough.
Yeah.
And also, I get the sentiment that everybody does wrong, sure. But you did wrong all day, every day for over a year.
Yeah.
Like, this is your thing is a little different.
You didn't just make a little mistake. You intentionally kept going back. It was like a drug for her.
It was like tens of thousands of mistakes. So it's a little different than some of her examples.
Yeah. Well, while Kendra was in prison, she was able to talk with Lauryn twice a week, which only led to people criticizing Lauryn for their continued relationship. Not really understanding why she would choose to keep her mom in her life. But, as I mentioned earlier, this is hard. She's young. She doesn't want to hate her mom. She's still, this is a person who raised her entire life, so I could understand being confused.
Absolutely. I could understand being confused too. It's hard for me to understand wanting to talk to her and have a relationship with her, but I'm also not Lauryn, and we have to remember as well how manipulative Kendra is. People in her life have said she's manipulative. She is playing the long mind game.
Yeah.
So that plays a big role as well, that she's not just like a normal person who messed up. She's tinkering everything to work the way she wanted to with Lauryn specifically. And you can go ahead and read the email.
Yeah. Just to give you guys a little example of this, one email that Kendra sent Lauryn in prison said, quote, "Hello, curly monkey head. I'm mad at you. You made me sad. You only said bye. You didn't say I love you. I forgive you. XOXOXOXOXOXOXO. I love you."
Creepy.
And it's like you should be so fucking lucky to ever get an I love you from Lauryn ever again. She doesn't owe you anything at this point. But then, this is, again, is that part of that manipulation. It's like, I'm mad at you now.
Yeah.
But guess what? I forgive you.
She's a master of manipulation. And also, I also understand why Lauryn would be experiencing these conflicting emotions as it's happening. And of course, as we know, while she is kind of being shut out by her peers. So she still, because of her mom, only really has her mom. So that's, again, part of that manipulation where it's like, but I love you and I'm here for you for whatever you need. And everyone else is like, I'm looking the other way down the hall.
Oh, your friends don't talk to you anymore? Guess who's here from you?
Mommy.
Prison mommy.
Yeah, so that is a big part of why I'm sure she missed her mom as well, because her mom gave her all the attention she wanted and was there for her when other people weren't. That had to be so confusing. Well, Kendra was officially released on August 8th, 2024, just as Lauryn was heading into her senior year of high school. She was not behind bars for very long, but she did remain on supervised parole until February of 2026. For now, her contact with Lauryn has ceased, probably because as Lauryn has stepped away, maybe became involved in that documentary, she's kind of seeing it from a different light.
Also possibly just, the passage of time and getting older and realizing just how much wrong her mom did.
And how much more Lauryn deserves from life than a mom who's going to do all of that to her.
Yep.
Well, Lauryn and Owen are no longer in touch, but during their senior year, Owen was elected homecoming king, while again, many people discounted and essentially shunned Lauryn for her mother's actions. In addition to the Netflix documentary, Lifetime released a movie about the situation called Mommy Meanest, which stars Lisa Rinna. Kendra still denies sending the first text, though even Lauryn now acknowledges, quote, "I don't know, I think it might have just been her."
And it probably was.
Lauryn Licari still resides in Michigan with her dad. She graduated from Beal City High School in May of 2025 alongside Owen and Chloe and is pursuing collegiate level softball as well as a degree in criminology, which her mom's case gave her an interest in. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of Going West.
Yes, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I know this was kind of a different story, and we don't really cover stories like this, but I think if you haven't seen that documentary, go watch it, because it is very, very shocking, and it's just interesting to see, like, the segments, the interviews, and everything like that.
Yeah, the interviews are really good to see, and just to kind of hear from the people that were involved, of course. But, I mean, truly just an unbelievable story. But yeah, sometimes, it's nice to do a different story that's still shocking and is a crime in a different way. So let us know if you want to see, like, more episodes like this from us, because it can be kind of a nice little break from all the grim murder that we talk about. But, I mean, truly, this case is disturbing on every level.
Absolutely, and hope you guys are subscribing over on YouTube. But if you're not on YouTube and you're just listening to audio, you can head over to our socials where you can see photos of this case. We're on Instagram at Going West Podcast. We're also on TikTok as well as Facebook. But would love to hear your thoughts on this, because I know that there was a lot of discussion surrounding this documentary and this case in general.
And everybody has opinions. Like, again, when we're watching Kendra hugging Lauryn, I just wanted to kick her. I was so angry, and I was like, I feel like, is everybody angry or is it just me?
Yeah.
Because I was so mad. Like, I took to TikTok after, and I was like, what is going on? Where's all the anger and the huffing and puffing?
The best part about this case is all of the Kendra memes, I gotta say. The Kendra memes are just chef's kiss. So, go check them out.
We may or may not post some,
Yeah, we may or may not. Well,
it'll be hard not to, because there's some good ones out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys again for listening to this episode of Going West, and we will see you guys on the next one. So for everybody out there in the world,
don't be a stranger.